Good afternoon, dear viewers. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm definitely having an alright day, and I think it's about time that I just start revealing like my projects moving forward, things that I want to accomplish, and I just want to get y'all's feedback on it. To get sort of a yay or nay sort of approach to it, because I really want to know what the world thinks when I do my sort of projects. I plan on doing three different types of videos in the future. Idea videos like this, or for pitches. These will be for movies or video games that haven't been made but are my ideas for said adaptation. There will be verse battles, which like the Zombie versus Xenomorph or Shrek versus Grinch. I will write and I will narrate the fight, and I hope to do so in a different way that kind of respects the lore or the concept behind both combatants. And finally, I've been thinking of doing like a biography or a analysis of certain people or events in history, but more on that in a little bit. I think the most interesting subject to talk about for now, or right off the bat, will be the who would win sort of fights. And this is kind of like Death Battle, but again, these are all written, they're narrative driven. I just don't have the time nor the resources to actually do any of these projects to the extent that I wish I could. But I definitely will be these are the projects that I would love, that I am going to be writing, or that I'm proposing or pitching my idea for a fight, and I want to hear your feedback. Beowulf versus Achilles, two legendary epic warriors. This fight takes me back to the time of Deadliest Warrior. I came up with this idea back, I want to say 2010. I was definitely in high school, and Deadliest Warrior was being announced for its third season, and I was definitely looking forward to it. And I want to kind of follow in that same vein, but have a closer tie to the mythological aspect to both these characters, and see who would win a fight to the death, Beowulf or Achilles. Second fight, a clash between apocalyptic survivors, zombie apocalypse survivors versus Fallout survivors. Basically, it'll be something akin to Fallout versus The Walking Dead. And here's the caveat. Here is the major twist in this sort of fight. I'm going to give them access to the same pool of weapons, something that they both have access to: semi-automatic, automatic, revolvers, shotguns, pistols, sniper rifles, what have you. I'm not going to include plasma or laser-based weapons. I'm also going to do bladed and blunt weapons and all that sort of stuff. But the deciding factor will be, if you're a fan of Deadliest Warrior or you're familiar with the season, will be these X factors, the things that make these warriors who they are, like the mentality, the diet, the resourcefulness, the training, the experience each faction would bring to this, each apocalyptic group would bring to a fight. because a zombie survivor or a survivor of the zombie apocalypse will have a different mindset than the person surviving a Fallout scenario. You know, look at something like diet. The zombie apocalypse survivor will definitely have an edge in this category in some respects, because you look at the food that you see in Fallout games or in these classic wasteland sort of apocalyptic nuclear settings, is mostly irradiated. And that's going to cause a lot of long-term health effects for people who eat this on a daily basis and don't have a means to actually produce or grow or maintain clean, sustainable food supplies. And this would, in my opinion, would play a huge factor in the battlefield in regards to your health. Also going to have to look at mental health, psychological health, because both will take a toll on who you are as a person to an extreme degree. So that's another fight that I really want to do. Zombie apocalypse survivors versus wasteland apocalypse survivors. Basically, Fallout versus Walking Dead. The third fight, I want to do a fight with Doomsday and the creature that beats Superman. And the most likely contender for him will be the Doomslayer, the very embodiment that hell itself will fear. Both of them are nigh unstoppable. They have one purpose, and that is to kill anything or destroy, tear, maim, render asunder anything that they perceive as the enemy. In Doomslayer's case, that's hell itself and all things that are evil. And for Doomsday, that's basically anything that's living. I think that is an interesting fight, you having these two combatants that will not back down, who have these enormous pools of strength and determination and dedication to stopping or killing anything that stands before them. I think that would be a really close and really brutal fight, and I would absolutely love to write that as a story. Another fight will be a Resident Evil fight. It will feature Albert Wesker versus Mitochondria Eve. If you're familiar with Parasite Eve, she is the main villain from the first game, and I guess the main villain from the second game. I've never really played Parasite Eve, but I've seen enough gameplay, and I'm analyzing the lore, the content behind it, and seeing if which of these two, for lack of a better word, bio-terrorists would come out on top. Wesker is fueled by various viruses like Ouroboros, the T virus, that now reside within his body, and Mitochondria Eve is this woman who her whole body is basically the mitochondria portion of every cell has mutinied or turned against all that's living, and she can control the mitochondria cell within each person. And I think this would be an interesting fight. I think Wesker would really look at Eve and be like, oh, this should be an interesting occasion for us to fight. Come, Eve. I need a sample of your DNA. Or something like that. And I just, I wish we could get a new Parasite Eve game. I really do. Because it seems like definitely the type of bio-horror that I really like. I love Resident Evil, and it's never done me wrong, but I also want to be unbiased as possible, and this seems like it will be a wonderful fight. Assassin's Creed, or the Order of Assassins from Assassin's Creed, versus the Dark Brotherhood of Elder Scrolls. This has been a long time clash, I think, between these two organizations. Both of them are highly skilled, highly efficient killing or assassination organizations, and there's a lot of ground that the Order of Assassins, or the Assassin's Creed, I think I'm just going to refer to them as the Assassin's Creed, that they encompass, because they go as far back as ancient Egypt and they go well into the future. So I think we need to make a cutoff time, like, so that we're not bringing modern weapons into a magic fight. And I'm going to say that it will be circa the Renaissance. Basically, the Ezio de Auditore timeline or era of Assassin's Creed, that is the one we will be going with. And like I said, the Dark Brotherhood will have access to a lot of magic, a lot of enchantments, but the Assassin's Creed will have access to a lot of technology, a lot of explosives, and very, very primitive firearms, but still effective. I think this would be an interesting fight because both of them are cold-blooded killers, but they have two very different causes or reasons for their operation. The assassins believe in freedom for all, and nothing is real, everything is permitted. They want to ensure that anything that impedes on the freedom of others is basically eradicated. Whereas the Dark Brotherhood is more like a cult. They do these ritual killings. They perform these assassinations in service to a higher power. And to see what these two could bring to a fight would be very interesting. And to see and compare like the type of materials, like the Dark Brotherhood and the Elder Scrolls world have ebony, they have glass, but it's different from our ebony and glass that we know of. It's like a metal version of glass or ebony, and it's extremely strong, extremely durable, and it's just some of the most lethal looking weapons of all time, as well as some of they also wield these enchanted weapons, throwing stars, daggers, all these sort of things, and it's a really interesting matchup. And on top of that, we have spells that we could talk about, and I think Dark Brotherhood versus Assassin's Creed would be a wonderful, wonderful story to write out. While on the subject of Fallout, or I mean, not Fallout, Elder Scrolls, I would also like to do one of Elder Scrolls' one of Elder Scrolls' founding characters, like a character from its lore that basically set in motion the very world in which you now play in, and that being Tiber Septim. I want the idea of Tiber Septim being in one of these fights. I think will be very interesting. And who will he fight? Well, I'm thinking someone from Star Wars, Mandalore the Ultimate. A lot of people think that Mandalore would easily win because he has all these blaster technology and all this advanced technology. But you have to keep in mind that Tiber Septim, he was able to do what nobody thought possible, and that was unify a whole, like, all provinces of Tamriel under one banner, and that's the Empire. the Cyrodiil Order. And meanwhile, we have the Mandalorians, who are fierce combatants who live, they breathe, their religion is war. And it would be so interesting to see not just their armies, but these two leaders going at each other. Now, naturally, if you know a thing or two about Tiber Septim, at one point he does get his throat cut, which takes away one of his most crucial powers, and that is the dragon's voice, or the because he was dragonborn. So, but having said that, I want to see these characters at their prime. I want to see them when they're able to be at their very best. So we're going to give Tiber Septim the ability to use dragon shouts, but I think it's fair enough that Mandalore the Ultimate has access to a lot, if not all, of the Mandalorian equipment and Basilisk war droids that he would have in at the height of his power. This would be a very interesting fight to see magic go up against science in ways that kind of go beyond your typical fight, because neither of these characters you actually interact with. There aren't really there are only stories written about these characters and how their great deeds and their leadership on the battlefield. And I think that will be an interesting subject for this whole fight. And finally, I think for these what-if sort of fights, I will go with another Elder Scrolls fight. I love the franchise, if you couldn't tell. It will be General Atomics, not General Atomics, Robco versus the Dwemer. So the Dwemer in Elder Scrolls, they are renowned for their usage of mechanics. They've basically made automatons, these hyper advanced constructs that function solely on gear and steam and magic, and are capable of doing untold things, and still functioning centuries after the dwarves actually went missing. Whereas the Robco robots are what we get in Fallout. They're like your Protectrons, your sentry bots. These are the robots that have still functioned centuries after the bombs have dropped, and aren't always in the best of conditions, but they're absolutely savage on the battlefield if you're picking a fight with some of the stronger ones. So it would be an interesting matchup to see how these two robot factions would be in a fight. So those are the who would win sort of fights that I have in mind. Beowulf Achilles, Tiber Septim versus Mandalore the Ultimate, Doomsday versus the Doomslayer, Albert Wesker versus Mitochondria Eve, Robco versus the Dwarven automatons. These are the matchups that I'm really thinking of doing. And if you think of any more, please let me know. Oh, I forgot the penultimate one, but I think I'll leave that for a surprise video. My other two categories, I'm probably only covered the next one, which will be pitch ideas. Because if you're someone like me, you have a lot of ideas. Your mind works at 1,000 miles a minute, and you think, well, this is a good idea, or this is a good idea, and why don't we do this, or why don't they do that? That's what this series will be about. It will be about ideas for movies and video games that haven't been made, but probably should be made. If I were given the budget, I definitely would make it. And the first few ideas, the one that is currently in the works right now is a pitch for Fallout, the video game franchise, which I absolutely love. And I still enjoy Fallout 76. It has its flaws, but I still enjoy it. And I will say that this game will be titled Fallout Orleans, as in New Orleans. It's kind of hard to say Orleans without the new in front of it. It's like, am I saying it right? But it'll be Fallout Orleans. And it will be, you'll just have to wait till that comes out. But it's definitely nearing completion. That will be a video game pitch. The next project I'm looking to pitch an idea for will be a Dead Rising movie. Dead Rising is another one of my favorite video game franchises. I can count, like, I have this friend, I've known him since kindergarten, and he introduced me into a lot of the video games and franchises that I grew up with and still love to this day. And thanks to him, like, Dead Rising is one of those franchises, as well as Resident Evil. So thanks, man. You know who you are. The story will follow the exploits of Frank West, played by Jackass star Johnny Knoxville, as he in a Comic-Con sort of scenario or setting. It will have a lot of commentary on current events, but also on the how we as society sort of face these trends and mainstream ideas like superheroes or video game movies, how things come and go, and all that good stuff. The next idea will be my pitch for a proper Doom movie. You might notice a little bit of a trend here. I love Bethesda. I love id Software, and I think a proper Doom movie would be a lot of fun to watch. It could follow the hardcore Henry route where it's all done in first person, or you could just have this massive just CGI splatter fest, and with some practical effects here and there. But primarily, the plot should be kept simple, straight to the point. No need to overthink it, no need to overcomplicate it. And yeah, I'm going to pitch a Doom movie and definitely look forward to that. I'm also thinking of, for another video game, I'm going to pitch a few more Star Wars related topics. I've basically all but given up on Star Wars at this point. It just doesn't feel special to me anymore. But I would like to do a few videos as a loving send-off to a franchise that I, at one point in my life, had a lot of love, a lot of respect for, and will tie into the parts of the universe and galaxy that I really enjoyed, and that is the expanded or the Legends continuity. The stuff that Disney kind of ripped apart and bastardized years ago, and are kind of trying to bring into the mainstream, which I'm not really a fan of, because I love Star Wars for being able to watch or know something that not the average person would know about. So I'm going to do a few videos based on as pitch ideas for Star Wars. The first one will be a video game about Star Wars The Force Unleashed 3. I think it's a game that we've really wanted to get, that EA definitely has kept from us, and so has Disney. And I would just love to come up with a story that concludes such this character that a lot of fans, including myself, have grown to enjoy and to love, and that is the story of Starkiller. The game will involve his clone, and it will be set in the years prior, the years post the Battle of Endor, and where he goes from after the defeat of Darth Vader. I think that will be a very interesting story, and as he comes to terms with who he truly is, because remember, at this point, he is a clone. So, that will be Star Wars Force Unleashed 3. The next idea will be a movie, and it will also tie into the old canon, and this will be Star Wars The Infinite Empire. This will be following the stories and the events of one of the of a comic series called Dawn of the Jedi, which is setting up how the Jedi and the Sith basically became the factions that they are. There was this time where there was a race of aliens called the Rakatan, and they basically wanted to conquer the galaxy way before the Republic even was a thing. And back then, this is like tens of thousands of years prior to the formation of the Republic. This is back when lightsabers were primitive, and the Jedi, as they were pronounced, I think it was pronounced like that, but it was, you took Jedi, but you changed the pronunciation and made it completely impractical. But at this time, they were able to train in both aspects of the dark and the light in order to achieve true balance in the Force, which I think would be an interesting thing to cover in a Star Wars setting that we've never really seen before. And they rode on freaking flying Rancors. I think they were called Dragon Rancors, or Rancor Dragons, but it was basically flying Rancors that they made out of the Force or something like that. And if you're familiar with the Rakatans, they were also featured in Knights of the Old Republic 1. They were the builders. These were the guys that made the Starforge, and they at some point, this is canon, or this is part of the actual story, they would send Force Hounds to different planets in order to find Force users and bring them into their ranks or whatever. And the story will follow one such person, and how basically, how the stories of the Jedi and the Sith, or the origins of the Jedi and Sith orders, which we've never really explored that deep into the franchise. And the final story would simply be how I would do a Star Wars Shadows of the Empire movie. Shadows of the Empire, I think a lot of fans have had close to their hearts. It was one of the biggest promoted expansions of the Star Wars mythos, because it bridged that gap between episodes 5 and 6, and it followed the story of Dash Rendar, a brash and arrogant smuggler who kind of filled in the void of Han Solo in these Star Wars movies, or in this Star Wars story, and the attempt to try and locate Han Solo after the events of Empire Strikes Back. But not only that, but there's a crime syndicate called the Black Sun, led by a guy named Zizor or something like that, and he has a personal bone to pick with Darth Vader. Vader attacked his planet years ago and I think all but wiped out his race, and now he knows that Luke is Darth Vader's son, and he wants Darth Vader to kind of feel what he's felt years ago, to have everything taken from you. So he's going after Luke Skywalker with one of the strongest and most efficient crime syndicates throughout the galaxy. And this guy also answers to Palpatine. You know, he controls both sides of the coin. You know, he has, much like in the Clone Wars, he controlled the droid armies and he controlled the clones. So he was always on top and aware of everything. So those are my ideas. That is what I'm planning on doing in the near future. All these things in this order, no, but I want to have some time in between each project, and I really have wanted to create these stories, but the Fallout Orleans project has taken way longer than I thought, but in my opinion it will be well worth the wait. I have original artwork, I have ideas, I have all this great stuff that I hope you enjoy. And I hope that's what you enjoy from all these projects. I hope you enjoy this. I hope that these type of ideas show that there are things out there that there's still potential in ideas. There's always room for stuff. And that's what I want to get across, is that even when you think that there's nothing left you can do in a franchise or a project, there's always something out there. And if you don't have the ideas yourself, you should never be afraid to ask, you know, what do you think? This is what I like to do. What do you guys think? And this is what I want to do. These are the ideas that I personally resonate and have grown attached to. But what do you, dear viewers, think? Do you think some of these ideas are great? These what if fight or who would win fights, and these pitch ideas for movies or video games? What do you think? Please let me know. Subscribe, like, comment, share, do all that great stuff. Share with your friends who might know a thing or two about what I just rambled on about, and that way I can get back to you guys, or they can give me some feedback, and I can get and maybe refine and retool these ideas and make them more feasible or workable. And until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please don't try and video and drive while you drive to work. It is not safe. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I truly do. And please take care of yourselves and just have a great day.